Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 30 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation, where we use female words. This would be January 30th if you're starting at the new year. The rewards of God. The ego does not recognize the real source of threat, and if you associate yourself with the ego, you do not understand the situation as it is. Only your allegiance to it gives the ego any power over you. I have spoken of the ego as if it were a separate thing acting on its own. This was necessary to persuade you that you cannot dismiss it lightly and must realize how much of your thinking is ego-directed. We cannot safely let it go at that, however, or you will regard yourself as necessarily conflicted as long as you are here, or as long as you believe that you are here. The ego is nothing more than a part of your belief about yourself. Your other life has continued without interruption and has been and always will be totally unaffected by your attempts to dissociate it. In learning to escape from illusions, your debt to your sister is something you must never forget. It is the same debt that you owe to me. Whenever you act egotistically towards another, you are throwing away the graciousness of your indebtedness and the holy perception it would produce. The term holy can be used here because, as you learn how much you are indebted to the whole childship, which includes me, you come as close to knowledge as perception can. The gap is then so small that knowledge can easily flow across it and obliterate it forever. You have very little trust in me as yet, but it will increase as you turn more and more often to me instead of to your ego for guidance. The result will convince you increasingly that this choice is the only sane one you can make. No one who learns from experience that one choice brings peace and joy, while another brings chaos and disaster, needs additional convincing. Learning through rewards is more effective than learning through pain, because pain is an ego illusion and can never induce more than a temporary effect. The rewards of God, however, are immediately recognized as eternal. Since this recognition is made by you and not the ego, the recognition itself establishes that you and your ego cannot be identical. You may believe that you have already accepted this difference, but you are by no means convinced as yet. The fact that you believe you must escape from the ego shows this. But you cannot escape from the ego by humbling it, or controlling it, or punishing it. The ego and the spirit do not know each other. The separated mind cannot maintain the separation except by dissociating. Having done this, it denies all truly natural impulses, not because the ego is a separate thing, but because you want to believe that you are. The ego is a device for maintaining this belief, but it is still only your decision to use the device that enables it to endure. How can you teach someone the value of something she has deliberately thrown away? She must have thrown it away because she does not value it. You can only show her how miserable she is without it and slowly bring it nearer so she can learn how her misery lessens as she approaches it. This teaches her to associate her misery with its absence, and the opposite of misery with its presence. It gradually becomes desirable as she changes her mind about its worth. I am teaching you to associate misery with the ego and joy with the spirit. You have taught yourself the opposite. You are still free to choose. But can you really want the rewards of the ego in the presence of the rewards of God? My trust in you is greater than yours and me at the moment, but it will not always be that way. Your mission is very simple. You are asked to live so as to demonstrate that you are not an ego. And I do not choose God's channels wrongly. The Holy One shares my trust and accepts my atonement decisions because my will is never out of accord with hers. I have said before that I am in charge of the atonement. This is only because I completed my part in it as a human and can now complete it through others. My chosen channels cannot fail because I will lend them my strength as long as theirs is wanting. I will go with you to the Holy One, and through my perception she can bridge the little gap. Your gratitude to your sister is the only gift I want. I will bring it to God for you, knowing that to know your sister is to know God. And if you are grateful to your sister, you are grateful to God for what she created. Through your gratitude, you come to know your sister, and one moment of real recognition makes everyone your sister, because each of them is of your mother. Love does not conquer all things, but it does set all things right. Because you are the realm of God, I can lead you back to your own creations. You do not recognize them now, but what has been dissociated is still there. As you come closer to a sister, you approach me, and as you withdraw from her, I become distant to you. Salvation is a collaborative venture. It cannot be undertaken successfully by those who disengage themselves from the childship because they are disengaging themselves from me. God will come to you only as you will give her to your sisters. Learn first of them, and you will be ready to hear God. That is because the function of love is one. This is one of those situations where I find it useful to replace the word God in the reading with the word love. There is some beautiful meaning there. I also really like that in this reading it says that we learn more effectively from joy than we do from pain, because I would so much rather learn from joy than from pain. Wouldn't you? All right, lesson 30. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. The idea for today is the springboard for vision. From this idea, will the world open up before you, and you will look upon it and see in it what you have never seen before, nor will what you saw before be even faintly visible to you. Today, we are trying to use a new kind of projection. We are not attempting to get rid of what we do not like by seeing it outside. Instead, we are trying to see in the world what is in our minds and what we want to recognize is there. Thus, we are trying to join with what we see rather than keeping it apart from us. That is the fundamental difference between vision and the way you see. Today's idea should be applied as often as possible throughout the day. Whenever you have a moment or so, repeat it to yourself slowly, looking about you and trying to realize that the idea applies to everything you do see now or could see now if it were within the range of your sight. Real vision is not limited to concepts such as near and far. To help you begin to get used to this idea, try to think of things beyond your present range as well as those you can actually see as you apply today's idea. Real vision is not only unlimited by space and distance, but it does not depend on the body's eyes at all. The mind is its only source. To aid in helping you to become more accustomed to this idea as well, devote several practice periods to applying today's idea with your eyes closed, using whatever subjects come to mind, and looking within rather than without. Today's idea applies equally to both. And again, the idea for today is God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. And this lesson title is also a song by Neda Boin, who I really appreciate. She has written many songs that come straight from A Course in Miracles, and it is a delightful way to deepen one's study and practice. So if you get a chance, check out this song. It's really empowering. All right, I will talk at you next time. Bye-bye.